Heart Solutions. I have Miss Vanessa Bates on today to have a discussion on the healing process and the journey of being a family member of those that have been used in the MILAB Super Soldier projects and programs. And I'm not going to talk too much because Vanessa has a lot to share with us today. And I thank you, Vanessa, for coming on. I'm super grateful to finally meet you. And I just see you as a super powerful and strong woman more than anything, to be able to go through what you've experienced with the death of your son Max Spears and all of the things that led up to his death, and the things that he was sharing with the super soldier community, my lab community, and just esoteric knowledge that he shared. I mean, just so much on a grand scale, really. I learned so much from him. So again, thank you for coming on and welcome. Please share a little bit about yourself, and then we can move into the things that you want to share with the audience today. Thank you.
Sure. I was thinking about what might be useful or interesting today, because a lot of the facts of Max's life, and particularly his death, have been turned over and turned over. I still think there's more to come. I still think there's a whole lot we don't know. And I think he was drawn into a very dark circle in Poland, which eventually took him. But I was thinking that the older Max got, probably from the time he was about 30, maybe, he started to ask me more and more and more about what was my birth like, what happened, and asking me things that obviously every mother knows what the birth of their child is like, but asking me to really, really think about details. And so I used to scratch my head and then think, well, what, like, then he would say, what did my father, Percy Herbert, who's a actor, what did he experience? What movies did he go in? It was like he was linking and linking and linking all sorts of aspects of his life. So I remember saying to him, look, when you were born, they said, and this is absolutely true, they said, and he was my first baby and I was 23, which was pretty young. They said to me, do you want the baby next to you? Remember, this is 1970s. Do you want the baby next to you, or do you want the baby? It's good for you to have a sleep. Put the baby in the nursery. And I remember saying, no, don't take the baby away. I want the baby in the little see-through cot thing next to me. Fell asleep, woke up, baby wasn't there. I remember running down the corridors of the hospital saying, where's my baby? Really, really quite
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just I mean, and that in and of itself is probably the sort of thing that they used to do because they thought, oh, the mothers need to sleep. But in that period of time, he came back. And then we had this thing where he had this weird Harlequin split, where he was lying there in the cot. Now he's about a day and a half old, 2 days maybe. And literally, I promise you, I stood there. I'm looking at this beautiful boy, with beautiful baby. And he was two colors of a Harlequin. It was like a green and a red split right down the center. And I thought, oh my God, something terrible's happened. Ran out, did the whole thing. All these doctors ran in, and it turned out that it was actually a thing that happens called a Harlequin baby. There is also, I looked it up, and there's also a child who has got abnormalities and is not well. This was not it. This lasted for about about a minute, and then he went back to normal. But it gave me a sort of, oh,
I remember the lecture on that, by the way. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I remember him talking about that and talking about the mammalian and the reptilian. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah, go
remember his
ahead.
lectures like yesterday. Yes, that's pretty fascinating. I will tell you just quickly, Vanessa, because of course, when you just said that you ran down the corridor asking, where's your son? I felt like a little stiff in my spine, like something immediately I could sense that there was something wrong.
Yes.
It wasn't they just this is normal and they take the baby away and this and that.
Mm.
I don't I think that
I was
clearly
very
there was yeah,
emphatic. I was
yeah,
one of those women that it was in an era when they told you could only breastfeed every 4 hours. So I was sneaking in the little bathroom and feeding him, felt like every 10 minutes, because he felt like he was starving all the time. But I wasn't going to be following the rules even then, back in the 70s. So, in other words, I was very emphatic about don't take my baby away.
right.
I was young, I'd be the same now, I guess. But don't take my baby away, and don't let me wake up and that baby not be there. It really, I can remember it to this moment. So that's just the beginning of it all with Max. And then there was now we could talk for hours and hours about all the questions that he asked. But I'm telling you that from the age of about 6, he was like old Father Time. He was still a ninja. He was still swinging through the trees being Tarzan. He
I
was
love
still getting into fights and hiding from his music lessons and all of that. But there was something when I talked to him, and this is what I miss, is talking to him, because I could talk all night, all night, and just love it. And he was the same with me. He was there was a very special connection, and I think it began to come through, and people started to relate. And I think if you jump forward now to 30 odd years for him,
yeah.
he started to find his ability to communicate. He found that not only were people listening, but he found the words to express what had been there since he was young. So when people start saying, "Oh, he's copying David Icke or whatever," no, this was Max. This was Max from his
I
far
never
back.
okay, I don't know who's saying that and I've never heard that. Of course, I don't listen to nonsense. I mean, I have my own, intuitive uh compass and I'm able to pick up when something is not genuine and when something is being regurgitated and I never felt that from him. He may have referred to people's information
Of
sometimes
course,
just but I totally I never felt like he was being disingenuous in any way. And
no
I
way.
definitely, yeah. And I know for sure some, from my own experiences that there was a lot that he shared that I know because I had my own experiences of it. I know were a real happening. People can't deny that. I mean, you have, I won't start spilling out names, but we know a lot of the common names in the community and those that were around him and close to him and the in and out of his life and this and that there I think everything this is just my I won't even call it an opinion, it's an observation. Now, do I have it all factual? Absolutely. I'm making sense of things myself, but a lot of the stuff that he went through and most of us was orchestrated. There was a thing that needed to play out in order for
There
information to
was an
be revealed.
agenda.
Yes, exactly. And I agree with you in the comment that you made about going to Poland. I've never there, one of the people that were there, I've listened to some of his stuff, but there's something in me that has never really cared for him. I
No.
don't have a judgment either way. I just felt, you know, he's playing ball with a
Well, he
certain
wasn't
group. Yeah,
showing any warmth when Max was clearly in trouble. Yeah, I'm speechless as to how he handled that. I think
yeah,
that's what we're talking about, cold.
yeah. Right. And
Yeah.
I've always felt that from him. So I wasn't shocked in any way when I when all this was happening, to find out who was around him. Now, the woman, I don't know who she is. I still don't know who she is.
Me
That
neither.
was, yeah. And, but definitely, you know, I think we both are cleared who we're referring to. And I don't want to mention the name, but, um, so, but I also know in my heart of hearts and spirit, he's handling business somewhere else and he's doing
Oh
well.
yeah.
I
Oh,
believe
he
that.
is.
Yeah.
He is.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so let's,
So much is coming through from what he talked about. And actually, 1922 was his big, no, 2022, what's the matter with me, was always the year that
yeah, because
he
his
talked
birthday's
about.
December 22, right?
That's
Is that
right.
right? Yes. So,
Absolutely right.
mhm. And
Oh,
I know that was a big, he mentioned that in his birthday, everything. I believe that too, even for you, all of us, everything is written and planned out. Now we do have free will to a certain extent. He used to mention we do have free will to a certain extent. We have things that we're here to do, and we're, and some of us fulfill
right.
those, yeah, some of us fulfill it, and
And
some of us,
that's why it was so strange that at a point in his career or whatever he was trying to talk about, suddenly Poland came up. I mean, we have no connections with Poland at all. And suddenly he says, I'm going to Poland, which is fine, but I'm thinking, why? It came sort of out of the blue. And I know very little about Poland. Most of us know very little. It used to be what we called the Iron Curtain. So, it was a very secretive place for many, many years. And then he's over there. And then within a matter of weeks, he's not with us anymore. Extremely strange.
do you think at a soul level, Vanessa, that he knew that he was in danger, but he went anyways because he's
Yeah.
a warrior and he chose to face,
Yeah.
like, yeah, walk into the fire knowing it was fire. You think so? You think he
Oh,
knew
no
at a soul
question
level?
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about it. He knew what he was walking into. He wasn't one to back down. And
Right.
he called me and said, if anything happens, investigate. And hence we spent 5 years investigating. But you know what? It was very hard to get to the root of it. And I tried so very hard.
Do
But
you
there's still,
mind sharing with us? I mean, I'm just curious because I don't know. I mean, I don't watch nowhere near as many interview,
of course.
yeah, because I just started realizing that I had to really think for myself and not, stay neutral and make sense of
Mhm.
things myself rather than, although I still refer to some just to get an idea of what's going on out there so I can maybe uh make sense of it, what I'm experiencing, downloads I get, so forth, so on. So
It's
if,
it's
yeah,
difficult and it's hard to tease it out. And of course, like all these things, it's like a spider's web. But one of the key things is that shortly before going, maybe 2 months, he met Stuart Swerdlow. And that's fine to say that because that's exactly what he did. And I've got the emails back and forth between Max and Stuart. And
mhm.
Stuart was very interested in Max, and Max was very interested in Stuart. And then out of that, somehow, this link with the lady that he was staying with in Poland came through. And then it was like a whirlwind of about 2 weeks of Max saying, I'm worried, I can't get out of here. And then this bizarre night when I got the phone call where no, it was it was online. I believe it was Miles, might have been Sarah, one or the other, because both of them told me that night, Max has died. And of course, that was just insanity.
Well, how
But
did they know before
um,
you knew? Is my question.
here's the answer to that is that I had gone, how dreadful is this? I was at with my two little ones round the corner at the local pub that has no internet. So I had my phone with me, but I arrived back to it, like it was blowing up. So I had no internet, and without internet, of course, you get nothing.
Sure.
So that was obviously the universe's plan as well, that I wasn't supposed to know till
Mhm.
later for some reason. But I do want to say, as just another thing that I haven't talked about much, is that I've never portrayed Max as as an angelic being. In fact, he used to talk about me, and I've got a letter where he says, "Mom, I've realized you're an angel." So we've definitely got that on his side. He ain't no angel.
Okay.
He wasn't. But he is a speaker of truth, and he's full of love. I mean, he's busting with love. But angelic, no, he was a man of this planet and earthly, and loved women, and was a dreadful flirt. So all of that is true. But to put that in some sort of context where it's something negative, is what upsets me, because to me it doesn't detract from what he had to share, which I believe was very critical stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't know why anybody would. I mean, how many other men are loved women and lived, very like everything that you just, you know. I've been told my father is Elohim, right? And
Yeah,
my father, and let me tell you, he could walk in a room and everybody would turn their heads, men and women. He's
there
gone
you
now,
go. There
but
you
he
go.
was quite a lover and people loved him and he was very magnetic in that way, just like
Yes.
Max, and
Yeah.
very handsome, just like, all of those
Yeah.
things. So, uh, we come here to this earth plane, if you want to say the 3D reality. We're multidimensional, all of us. Nobody's special here, right? All of us are multidimensional.
Yes.
Unless you're, a cyborg or something like I have AI that runs through me, Vanessa.
Hmm.
I'm very
Hmm.
open about that. I am a Pleiadian. I can see now when you were mentioning about, uh, excuse me, him being taken away at the hospital.
Hmm.
I was left at the hospital for 2 days and then brought home. My mother came home. I was left there for 2 days, and I have implant, and I can see it, especially when I look in light.
Ooh.
That it's called a scorpion implant. Although I broke programming, but it's connected to my eye, and it runs through my bio. And but I have a soul, so I'm not just a you know
Right.
empty.
Not just a
That right.
robot.
I have a soul, and I know my soul, and I know who I am, what I am, and so forth, or some of my history and so forth. But my point is, there was a reason for me to say that. Now I've lost track of
No,
what I
but
was.
it's interesting
Yeah.
because when Max, and then we're checking on Max, and that they attached a monitor to his little head right before he was born, and took a piece. And I remember vividly they took this little monitor out and they said, "Oh look, he's got really dark hair," because Max is dark. I've got a mother. My mum is virtually black hair. Um, Unusual curly black hair. My father is my color,
Mhm.
so the kids go either way. Max went very dark, but his own father was very dark. Actually, Max
Mhm.
looked a lot like his dad. But Max said, "Well, what happened to that hair? What happened to that hair?" I said, "I don't know, Max. I'm in the middle of having you." They
Yeah,
just
yeah.
said, "Oh, look, he's got." I don't know, but maybe that was important. Maybe that was important.
I
Well,
see Max in your face and your smile. So when you smile, I see him
that he
very much
he
so.
is there. I do believe
Yeah,
that. I
yeah,
do believe there is a look, and
yeah.
if you saw his father, he's the
I've
perfect.
only seen a couple pictures of his dad, and I
Yeah.
of course heard of him speaking about him being an actor and so forth and so on. But I
No,
wasn't.
the actor is my father,
Oh, okay, okay,
Jonathan.
yes, okay.
Jonathan is has worked abroad in places like Iraq and Iran, and is a very and then worked at the university as a linguist. So he's an academic.
Hmm. Is
Yeah.
your father
So
still alive? Uh,
no, no.
oh,
But
okay.
mum was a we're going back a while, but Mum was a fashion model in London. She used to, you know, back in the day, they used to model the clothes. So if you wanted to buy a dress or a coat, the models would go to the houses and model them. That was what Mum did. But yeah, it's an interesting background. But the biggest influence, well, no, Max said my mum was his second mum. He adored her, Amy, and my father, Percy, who was the actor, had a huge influence on him. My dad would say they lived in Broadstairs, which is a little seaside town right on the ocean. They had a apartment that literally was on the ocean, my mum and dad, and he would say to Max, quick, come here, there's a spaceship has just landed and gone into that ship. And Max would run, and he was interested. Then he was a little boy, so he had it's in his blood, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I don't know if that area is, because I don't know England well.
No.
But I know that James Casbolt did an interview with Miles at a place in England where it sounds kind of similar to what you just
Yeah.
Described, where there was a lot of UFOs and spaceships
That's
and so
it.
forth in and out.
James was James is from Cornwall, which is further down towards what we call the West. I mean, remember, England's tiny, but the thing is, everywhere in England almost is a seaside town because we're an island and we're tiny.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything is sea oriented. But yes, James, and don't forget that when we were in California, James and Max, particularly in 2008, 9, 10, were in touch with each other a lot and had quite a connection. Max had a lot of empathy for James.
I
It
believe
all
that.
started to, they really did. James was very emotional with Max, and Max with James, about their shared. I have a lot of empathy for James.
Yeah.
I do.
Well,
I
I do
think
for everybody in this. You know, when you come out of, or you awaken, or you have floods of memory, I think they got me before I have some, but I don't have it to the extent as far back as some of these guys, and in detail the way they do. Because I was taken in 2014 up, and I remember hanging from the ceiling. I heard the it was MILAB. I remember
2014. That's not
yes,
that long ago.
2014. Huh? I'm sorry.
That's not very long ago.
No. Well, 2014, I mean, this is when everything was happening, Vanessa. I mean, 2011, I had my awakening. I was using telepathy. Everything I would say,
Okay.
I would manifest. I was creating out of thought. I start writing a book called Little Sisters Lost Soul. That's when the targeting got really heavy. But they knew that I had activated, my DNA activated, and I literally was, well, I mean, I did a reading with Laura Eisenhower, who said, Ida, you're pure light. She said, I've read, cards, 1,000 readings, and I've never seen cards fall the way they are for you right now. That
Really?
was right during the time. And when they sent a guy, they sent a guy from the Pentagon, the last 5 years of his career in the Air Force, he worked at the Pentagon. At least this is what he's telling me now. And his name was Rick Johnson. And I have I've kept everything, police reports, all the stuff. And long story short, I said to him, I was like, Rick, you got to know, I know you're here more than just because you like me. And he said, Ida, if I didn't know you were special, I'd have left you alone a long time ago. And he walked out my front door. And I had an awakening, and I was saying to my sister, where have I been all my life? Now, I've been told I was using 220 and back. Now, I don't do a lot of research in this field of MILAB and so forth, because I think really all I could depend on, there's a few people that I trust that have given, been able to give information to me that I know that they know what they're talking about because I know my experiences. They wouldn't be able to read it in me without knowing, it was information that I didn't share with them, so they wouldn't have known prior to that, if that makes sense.
Yes,
So,
it does.
but I just think that there's so much information out there, Vanessa, and people are doing their best to make sense of it. But I think a lot of it is definitely fantastical and, uh, you know, so, no, I'm not referring to Max's information by far. I'm talking about it just seems like the community is turned into, everybody's making money and doing whatever they're doing. And I'm not judging any of it, but I'm not interested in any of that. What I am interested in is healing and integrating and fully self-actualizing so that those uh that are newly awakening and coming through, and they said on the 12th there was huge light codes coming through, and I'm definitely in touch in that way. I feel things in my body, and I have certain experiences or thoughts, and I know there's different things going on, especially when I get tongue tied a lot and I get myself, I know that there's interruption, which is okay, because I at this point it's like I just I care only to the extent that what needs to come out of me or anybody else or what I'm seeking to have confirmation, I will get what I need to know always. Because I thought I
Mm.
was like behind, and I really screwed up, and evidently I had a lot of karma that needed to be cleared, a lot. So yeah, I wasn't, people think that um Mary Magdalene, and I hold Magdalene DNA. I've been open about that. There's 9 of us. But there's one Eve, and it's not Aaron, by the way, who claimed to be Eve a long time ago. I'll just say that. And it's definitely not this other woman that's come forward, and I won't even mention her name. But the word Eve in Magar means sex. Okay.
Does it? I
So
didn't know that.
yes, so in the Magar language, and I'm learning more as I go, but not attaching to any of it. Because who am I right now? I'm Ida. I'm very thankful to be here. I'm thankful for you, Miss Vanessa. I'm so happy that you've come forward. And I know I kind of, a lot goes through my mind. And I
Yeah,
just think,
and I
yeah.
think, as a thing that I would like to touch on, and as we said, this is not about knocking anybody, because when I go on Facebook and I see your posts, they lift my spirit, and I've said that to you many times.
Oh,
It's
that's so
just
lovely. Thank
but
you.
it's so true, and you know it. It's just
Mm.
look at the good, and be aware of everything else. But I've gone back and forth, and I'm going to say this now. I've gone back and forth with Sarah, but Sarah Adams. But I want to just clarify it for once and for all that Max was deeply attached to her, that there was a strong bond between the two of them. They both needed each other and loved each other, and I would never take that away. When, for God knows what reason, she came out and did some videos about stuff that I had done to Max, i.e., bought him drugs, and I hate to bring it down to that level, but I wanted to put that out there, that she had said that, and that
I saw the post. I saw her
and,
comment in the
oh,
comments that and I thought I
and
was a bit taken back by it.
it's
Uh,
so
yeah.
awful, and you think you're a good mother, and you know terrible stuff like that. So yes, upsetting, but not deeply upsetting, because but
Yes,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think, I think people absolutely, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I think those that are truly moving in the path of, first off, integrity, number one,
Mhm,
kindness, love, and compassion, and having empathy for your struggles in your life too. Nobody's
mhm,
freaking perfect. We've all done
mhm.
things that are not very becoming.
Yes,
I could
yes,
share some really ugly, things
yeah,
I would consider to be ugly about what I've done in my past, but guess what? That's not who I am today. And I've
No,
also done the healing and the work and the changing in my life. And you have the right to do that as well. So on that note,
absolutely.
I'm very, I never paid attention to the
No,
comments.
because
I've
the
always
bottom
looked, yeah.
line is, number one, I absolutely wouldn't know where to get a hold of drugs for Max. So that's on the boring physical level. Number two, putting that to one side and just ignoring it, I
Mhm.
absolutely adored from the day I looked at him, that boy. I absolutely adored him. And he knows that. He completely knows that. And when he, even when he was away from me, we were talking every day, and every day when he was in Poland
You're
and
his mama,
Cyprus.
and nobody could take that from you or
No,
him.
or
So people
suggest
can,
that I would want
yeah,
anything bad for him
yeah.
is just, that's just beyond the pale. So I just wanted to say that, but I also wanted to say they did have a very powerful connection, and I would never take that away either. That's
I have
all.
a great deal of, I mean, I appreciate Sarah. I've learned a great deal from her as well. I mean, I
Yeah.
had one session with her and she was able to give me some information that was helpful for sure
Mhm.
about, and I don't judge her. I don't judge any of you guys,
Not worth it.
anybody. Like, I
Nope.
mean, it is what it is. We don't always make the best choices. And I'm not suggesting that whether you did or didn't, I believe you when you say that, Vanessa.
Mhm. That's
And
it.
if you did do it, doesn't mean that you don't
Yeah.
have a right to be forgiven or to make
Or
good.
or to be devastated to hear that he's not with us,
Well,
you know,
right,
or that I'm
exactly.
a bad mother. I guess those of us who are mothers don't want to hear that people think we're bad mothers. That's not a good thing. If
Of
one thing
course.
a woman doesn't want to hear, it's that somebody says she's a bad mother. It's just
Well,
like,
especially
that's
when,
the
yeah,
worst,
yeah.
especially when you adore them
Yeah,
and
Vanessa,
you
I think that, it was clear to me listening to Max that he loved you very much and I know in
thank
spirit he
you.
still loves you very much and you know, I mean, my mother ignored some things going on as I was growing up that I felt she could have dealt with differently, but she didn't. But guess what? I saw my mom a year before she passed away. I was able to fly out to Arizona and I remember saying to her,
Mm.
I'm sorry. Okay. Um, we're everything I say is repeating, Katie. Okay. That's better. Thank you. Um, I remember saying to her, Mom, I love, your children love you. And she made a comment, yes, Ida, but some of them, you know, some of the things my kids did, I didn't care for too much or something along those lines. And she was probably referring to my brother who molested me, one of them. I'm open about it. I mean, I'm so over it. It was a life lesson. It was part of what I agreed to coming in to have those experiences in order to heal and integrate and be able to help others. So I've healed that aspect of myself. I don't see that as, but I also know my mother went through her own sexual abuse and didn't know how to, and she said to me, Ida, how do you pick one child over the other? And well, if one of your children is hurting your little girl, you should be protecting her rather than, but I'm not a mother. I don't have kids, Vanessa. Not this lifetime. You know what I mean? I just got me a little puppy, but the point, I'm very protective of children. Well, I was told that by Peter the Insider. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Well, let
Mm-mm.
me finish the story. Okay, so when I said that to her, and I said to her, clear, Mom, I choose to love you instead of hate you. Because I was very angry for a long time because I didn't understand why all the things that were clearly, excuse me, not right in my life weren't being addressed. Like, as a kid, like you said, I knew at a very young age that this is not right. Something's wrong, very wrong. But as I got older and into my teens, and that's when my first handler came, or that I would consider my first handler, and I could keep going. But Uh, there was something else I was going to save you, and now I forgot what it was. I don't know. I so much. Yeah, I do that a lot. Yeah,
I
but
do too. I do too.
so yeah. I mean, it's been a while. So how many years is it now for Max? What year was it he passed? 2016.
16.
Yeah. So we're 7 years later here. Well, that's interesting.
Are we
6
really?
years. Yeah, 6.
6 years.
2016, July 2016, right? He passed.
And he died on July 16th.
It blows my okay, and my dad. Okay, so it blows my mind how much I do remember about him, like what month he was born, his birthday, everything. This is how much I loved him, Vanessa. I remember his death, the whole bit, like a family member. He really helped me a lot, Vanessa. He
He
helped
was.
a lot of us a lot, and people need to
I
own
do
that.
believe he did. I do
He
believe he
did.
did.
Of course
I
he
do.
did.
I do. And he
Yeah.
was 22nd of December 76 is his birth date. And that makes him astrologically 0 degrees Capricorn. Because a lot of people think, 22nd of December, that's Sag. But actually, it's not. If you know how I don't know if you're into astrology, but it varies depending on the year. And that year, it was 0 degrees Capricorn. Capricorn is very, very stubborn and yeah, it's a very
So my
different.
oldest sister is a Capricorn, and so I have
Well, then
some
you
experience.
probably
Yeah.
get what I'm saying. It's a. I mean, the catchphrase for it is "I am the law." So it's you better listen to me. And so he had that from an early age as well. Yeah, so and then he waited, or I waited, or however life went. There was 10 years between Max being born and then his sister Becky. So there was 10 years when he was an only child, and he was very much in his own world, very much the creator. But
Well, he used to
always,
talk about being in these. So if we could appreciate that he had that life going where he has the memories of growing up and being in school and being an only child, but then he has these parallel memories of being, taken and in these schoolrooms where they're learning telekinesis and all this. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I've had emails and messages from people saying, what kind of a mother are you that you would let him go through all of that and not get him out of that? But on that level, people don't understand there's parallels going on.
Exactly. You are not responsible for that. That's something you can't even control if you wanted to. You wouldn't be able to do that.
Nor did I have any sense of Max has gone for 2 years and now he's come back. Of course not.
Yeah.
Max was there. So you've got to think in a different way, and some people get very very difficult about that. But Max was a peculiar mix of absolute love. If you've seen some pictures of him, his face, it's like just pure love. But he also had a very bad temper. He was not just all, I accept how you are and God bless you. He wasn't that. Great if he had been, but no. If somebody crossed a line with something that he believed to be true, or somebody, he had a big protector thing about him. If somebody crossed that line, then he would become very much the warrior. And it was almost as if his whole body stretched out and he wasn't a fighter, but he certainly used his body to say, watch out. There was that soldier aspect to him. No question about it.
Oh, I absolutely believe that. There was an interview he did with Miles Johnson talking about the blood types. I don't know if you ever watched that one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and where he mentioned that he had two hearts, that they gave
Yes.
him a second heart. Yeah, and I just know that there's multidimensional things happening because I know what I remember of different things that
Yes.
happened, and I know it didn't happen in the 3D reality. It was multidimensional. It was in the astral and so forth. So, um,
Yes.
I
Or
definitely know
even
he was a
even
warrior for sure.
in parallel. You know, even I'm a believer in parallel
Hmm.
universes, that there's a whole nother stream going on
Oh,
that right
absolutely.
now we're not conscious of, but that is there and is happening. And also, I know that Max hasn't stopped working for what he was working for. He couldn't. He could not. So yeah, I just think that it's because he can sometimes come across in the interviews that I watch, even today, as smart, charismatic, a total believer in what he's saying, but very balanced, which he is. But he also has this fuse that can be lit, um, which, when ignited, was quite ferocious. And I don't mean hurting anybody, but I mean absolutely don't you mess. And people would back off. And I
Sure.
don't know if that comes across. Maybe it does. You tell me. Does it come across
I
in the
mean,
interview?
I just know that he's a powerful soul, and he is still a powerful soul. And when you're using these projects and programs, and if I want to even use that, let's just, when you're here to do certain things, you are trained well for that over many lifetimes, and especially this time coming in to this reality. You know, we've gone to the bottom. Now we're going back up. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
humanity as a whole, we have really lost our way. I mean, when I say we, and generally as a collective, we lost our way. People are, people like Max and other people, myself, just that have these memories, are aware of being used, are, you know, uh, trained to do certain things, and we hold a certain power behind us to be able to exude when there's things happening. Anybody could do that. That's like you being a mother and somebody comes to hurt your child. There's an energetic uh, response that you're going to back the F up for my child, right? There's a
Yes.
natural thing. I mean, I know that there are some mothers out there that maybe not, but I know that about you, Vanessa. I believe that. I
Yeah.
believe that you would
Yeah.
protect your son if you had any kind of clue that there was anything auspicious going on. You would speak to that and do something about it.
Oh
So,
God, yes.
but
No
yes, but
question.
as far as me feeling, I could feel his power. Definitely, he was a powerful man, powerful soul. But he was also, like you said, very balanced in that he was very humble and kind and compassionate, very
Yeah.
patient. At
Yes.
least on camera, like he was patient. Some of the things, I
Yes.
mean, no offense to Miles, Miles would get on my damn nerves sometimes listening to the, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
but Max was very suave in that he knew how to
Mm-hmm.
to handle himself, and he knew when to flare his wings, so to speak. Like he knew how to
Well,
handle.
because Miles has
Yeah,
just recently released this tape. Did you see it?
no,
It's of one from 2014, that he had held back for years, obviously. And Max is with Sarah in my parents' flat in Broadstairs by the sea, and it's quite an interesting tape. But Max never wanted it released because Max had been drinking, because Max, I've always said Max had to watch it with drink and he had to watch it with drugs. He was not always clean. This is a fact.
Okay,
And I'm
can
not.
I just say something real quick to that before I forget? They use cocaine to get me to go on missions. That's a fact.
There you go.
Okay. I started cocaine when I was 11 years old. The first time I used drugs, I was 6. They use drugs to manipulate and to control us, to be able to get us to do,
Do what they want.
So that's right. So that doesn't surprise me. And anybody that doesn't have any kind of understanding of that or compassion for that, go. I don't even know what to say. So, but I feel, I contacted Miles about coming on, and the threat, and I've said this, and I'll just say it because I'm okay saying it, and I don't care at this point. I was threatened by Simon Parks. If I came forward, I would be severely attacked. And but Simon did help me. I will say that he did help me make sense of some things. But the last time I spoke to him, he read my mind. I said, "Am I the wife of?" And he said, "Ida, you're clearer now than I've ever seen you." So he was able to read my mind before I could get the words out. Okay.
Right.
Which was another confirmation to me of the soul I behold and who I am. And I'm okay with that. I mean, because it's not who I am right now. If we appreciate that everything is happening, there's no time, and we have different lifetimes and different dimensions and different, so but my point in saying that, Miles, I tried to talk to Miles, or I contacted Miles about coming on, and for whatever reason, I don't know if they're scared because I have AI running through me, or I don't know if there's a fear. I don't fear any of it anymore. I don't have, I had to sit with that for a while, Vanessa, wondering what was it so bad that I've done that if I share my story, I'm going to be attacked for what? Why would I be attacked? I'm trying to make sense of my own, what I've experienced. But evidently, there's some things that I may have done that wasn't so nice. My point in telling you. So Max may have not always made the best choices or done the right. You do the best you can with what you are being presented with, or your experience. Yeah.
That's
so, and I don't care for, Miles doing that when it was Max's wishes not to have that published. I think it's unfortunate.
And I agree with that, but also watching it and recognizing when Max and literally he'd been drinking wine. So you can recognize that very easily. But nevertheless, there was some gems that were coming out of his mouth, so that I was kind of glad that it came out, because he wasn't like,
me, Vanessa. Would you send it to me on Messenger? I'm going to watch it when we're done. I definitely want to watch it.
I'll send it over to you, and I think you'll enjoy it. I think, and he puts Miles in his place. Says, Miles, that's enough. Now I'm speaking. Where he's
wine,
not taking any of it. So, but actually, some of the stuff he says is wonderful, and it's from what is now 8 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So time is
I would love to see that. I know that you said you had to go by 7 and it's now 1:55. I don't want to, I try to respect, I do my best to respect my guests' time. And
thank you.
I appreciate you coming on. I would love to have you come back on, Vanessa, when maybe we have a little bit more time to unravel some more things. Sure. That would be,
awesome.
I would love for you to come back on. Yes. And I feel so honored to have you on and to finally meet you. And I want to tell you, I love you. I love you.
I love you too.
Yes. And I appreciate you. And I think, you've got my love and support for sure. And there's so many more of us that appreciate you in such a big way.
And you know what I have to say as a final thing, that it's helped me through this horrendous time. It's really helped me because it's been genuine love and I have felt it.
Yes. So
So why
I am
don't we
here, and if
close
you
on
ever
that?
want to talk, just send a message. We
I
can
know
connect
where
and
to
chat.
find you.
Yes,
I
that's right.
sure do.
Yes. So I'll
All
be
right
in
then.
touch maybe next month or sometime when you
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
we'll have you back
We'll be in
on, and
touch.
we'll have a little bit more, maybe, you know, I'd
Maybe
like to
focus on
unravel
a
some more.
certain angle. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Vanessa, please send that
All
video
right.
to me. Don't forget, I'll be
Will do. I
bugging you.
promise.
Yes.
I
And
will.
have a fantastic day. Thank you for coming on. This has been a
All
lovely
right.
chat. And
Been lovely.
we'll have you back soon.
In
Yeah.
a jiffy.
Yes. Have
All
a
right.
blessed day.
Bye for
Thank
now.
you. All
Bye,
right.
honey.
Bye.